Our group name is TheStrangers. The people in our group are myself, Ethan Summerall, Carmen Clark, Philip Hall, and Jasmine McCall. We are students at the University of South Alabama in EDM 3 class. Our book is Teach Like Your Hair is on Fire by Rafi Esquith.
In the prologue, we are introduced to Rafe Esquith. Esquith comes before his readers as a humble teacher who is still learning the art of teaching. In this chapter, Esquith reveals to us his breaking point in which he chose to begin to teach like his hair is on fire, and what exactly that means. Rafe Esquith tells us of his turning point in his teaching career. He was about to give up. There was no hope in him trying any longer. However, that day, he had a situation during a chemistry lab. A girl in his class could not get her wick to light. In efforts to help her complete their lab, he leaned over to light her wick. So focused on getting all the students to be successful, he was unaware that his hair was in flames. From then on, Esquith dedicated himself to always teaching like his hair was on fire.
Chapter 1, Give Me Some Truth. In Chapter 1, Rafe discusses fear in the classroom. The teacher is afraid of looking bad, not being liked, not being listened to, or losing control. Students are afraid of being scolded and humiliated, or looking foolish in front of their peers, and getting bad grades, and facing the wrath of their parents. Rafe says that today most classrooms are managed by fear. He says he planned on managing his classroom through fear, but instead decided to improve the cultures of his classroom. He says there are 4 things to make sure your classroom remains a place of academic excellence. The first thing is to replace fear with trust. On the first day of class, you should teach students that the classroom is based on trust and that broken trust is irreplaceable. And when a teacher is positive and patient to questions that students have, this will build an immediate and lasting trust. The second thing is that children depend on us, so be dependable. Rafe tells the story of a teacher who promised her students she would take them on a very exciting trip. When her students misbehaved, she would threaten them with punishment of not going on the trip, and there were even students who did extra work to make sure that they would be included in this special trip. Towards the end of the year, she told them she was moving away and wasn't able to take them on the trip. This soured the students to school and to adults in general. A broken trust has to be avoided at all costs. Being consistently dependable is a great way to build up trust. The third thing is discipline must be logical. You should maintain order in your classroom, but never forget the basic truth about discipline. Children do not mind a tough teacher, but they despise an unfair one. The fourth thing is that you must always be a role model. Kids model themselves after you. You have to be the person you want them to be. Throughout the day, there are many role modeling moments of teaching, and a few of them are opportunities waiting to be seized. Make every effort to remove fear from your classroom. By being fair and reasonable, you will grow as a teacher, and your students will be amazed as they flourish in the safe haven you have created.
In Chapter 2, Rafi goes over the 6 levels of behavior for your children in the classroom. The idea is for us to get our children to level 6 behavior. He starts off by talking about level 1. The title is I Don't Want to Get in Trouble. The idea is having them to where they know if they do something bad, then they're going to get in trouble. Such as them saying, when you're out of the classroom, the teacher's coming back because they know if you were around when you done it, they would get in trouble for doing it. Then on the level 2, the title is I Want a Reward. Here he talks about the children that if they learn that they're going to get a reward for doing good behavior, they will likely repeat the behavior to continue getting rewards for being good. And level 3, the title is I Want to Please Somebody. At this level, the children will do good behavior because they want to please the teacher or their guardians or whoever they're around that's watching them. Such as a kid coming up to you and asking if their pictures looks good or if they're doing good on a test. They want that satisfaction. All right. At level 4, the title is Follow the Rules. The theory behind this is that the kids who are involved in generating classroom rules will be invested in following them, like if you were doing explanations over rules, and showing them the consequences, or showing them what behavior is wrong and what behavior is right, they'll know what's wrong when the time comes. At level 5, the title is "I am more considerate of others." If we can achieve a state of empathy for the people around them, we've accomplished a lot. Lastly, is the level we want to be at. At level 5, level 6, the title is "I have a personal code of behavior and I will follow it." The level 6 is the hardest level to be at, and even harder to teach. Here the children are supposed to have a personal understanding of the way they should act and how they should treat others. You can show them the right way by viewing other people's behaviors.
Chapter 5. This chapter talks about how kids are proficient in arithmetic in elementary years, then begin to fail when they enter advanced mathematics. It focuses on why early development should be fun and exciting to get the children interested in love math, rather than the teachers taking the easy way out and putting the drill and kill strategy of teaching. The main focus of this chapter is value quality over quantity, which is why teachers should include games while teaching their students. Marcy Cook used 2 exciting approaches to fun learning. The first approach is called a mental math warm-up. In this activity, all kids participate. There are no fears of embarrassment. She asks her students questions and they all display their answers, and she can determine who understands the subject matter and who doesn't. This activity occurs at the beginning of the day to get kids warmed up, happy, and energized. The second approach is the tile problem, which consists of 20 unique problems. Each problem focuses on a particular skill and is solved by using the number tiles from the mental math warm-up exercises. The most basic task cards are designed to help very young students learn to count, and the more advanced cards teach us arithmetic and other numerical skills. The cards are special because they ask the students to evaluate a series of tasks. Marcy Cook's programs offer a rich and complex alternative to drill and kill programs, in which a student either knows an answer or doesn't. They help reinforce basic concepts to struggling students while challenging advanced students to stretch their minds.
In Chapter 6, Rafe Esquith speaks about the effects testing has on today's students. He states that students are burnt out on taking tests, and that teaching students how to take a test becomes more important than teaching kids how to reach their full potential. In this chapter, Esquith doesn't simply discuss the negatives about tests. He acknowledges the importance of tests and gives us study tips on how to study effectively. To help us understand what studying effectively means, he tells us the story of Wayne Gretzky, a champion hockey player. Gretzky began skating and playing hockey as a child. Anytime he would ask his father if he may go skating, he already understood that his father's yes meant that he may not go out and foolishly skate around, but instead he was to go practice a certain move. This allowed Gretzky to learn to be effective. Esquith credits most of students' failed attempts at test taking to them not understanding how to study effectively. Esquith says students must create the conditions of the test in order to study. This means that students must spell out words when studying for a spelling test and to solve math equations when preparing for a math test. Esquith then concludes this chapter by reminding us that it is our responsibility as adults to understand that kids are not their test scores.
The epilogue. Rest in peace. In the epilogue, Ray says teaching is a thankless job, and it may be hard to find a reason to believe. Although there may be many reasons to surrender, you should continue to look for a reason to believe, and your search will always bring you back to your students.
Thanks for watching the Strangers podcast on how to teach like your hair is on fire by Rafe Esquith.